And welcome to Weather and Ag in Focus. Want to thank everybody for joining us. And joining us today is our other meteorologist, crack meteorologist, Justin Storm, and our wonderful, talented ag director, Bridgette Readel, who had a wonderful birthday weekend, I hope.
It was well. Thank you very kindly for checking. Much appreciated.
Can you share what you did, or maybe not?
Share.
You know what? My lawn is mowed, the garden is tilled, and I had a great ribeye. How's that sound?
That perfect. Wow.
That sounds like a fun birthday.
It sounds like a perfect birthday. And the weather on Sunday was absolutely beautiful. So
it was. It was great out.
Yeah.
Thanks for that, guys. Much
you're
appreciated.
Well, finally, we get blamed when it's bad. So, we might as well take some credit when it's good, right?
Hey, remember the one person that sent us the email that was mad because we sent a tornado through a town like a year and a half ago?
I don't remember that email. Really?
Oh.
Yeah?
Yeah. They thought that we sent it was our fault that the tornado.
Did you save it, the email?
I got like 1,800 read emails in here, so it's probably in there somewhere.
We'll search for it.
We'll have to try and find it.
And then now respond to it.
Yeah, just like, oh, very, very sorry. It was an accident.
It actually wasn't meant for your town. We meant it to go somewhere else.
Yeah,
so,
I misspelled that one. I'm sorry. What is it? It was when I called Pekin. I misspelt it real bad, real there. Sorry.
Yeah.
Also wanted to invite everybody to log on to our Weather and Ag in Focus, our social media, our Facebook page. There was an article written by Rice University, and it has to do with climate scientists now have discovered that weather patterns are somehow cycling over the northern and southern and North Pole and South Pole. And this was just published over the weekend. And I thought, yeah, that would be called something called the LRC. That's
Although they weren't completely onto it, but they were saying there's a recycling pattern that's occurring.
Yep. So it is good to see that now that these climate scientists are now, hey, so Gary sent me that article. So if you want to take a look at it, again, it's on our Weather and Ag in Focus Facebook page. It's a pretty interesting read, and it goes to verify everything that Gary has found. It's good to see now that the climate scientists are latching onto this as well, because again, once you get the ball rolling, then again, this will be a big improvement for long-term weather forecasting. So that's all good news. Check out the article; it's pretty interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Quite a shock, guys. Quite a shock.
Yeah, right.
And
that was a big shocker.
Since it is such a beautiful day, it's not just nice for everybody who wants to enjoy it because they're outdoors, they've got sports, etc. It's pretty good spray day, and the look on my face this morning watching all the sprayers going. Not that spray day. No. We are happily seeing fields being sprayed, weeds being controlled. Apparently, I was a killer in another life because I'm all about dead weeds. I'm fine with it.
Bridgette, I've heard that people are kind of struggling with this because the plant growth is so explosive.
It's going fast.
Weeds and crop.
It is moving very fast. And so there's a couple things that happen when that's the case. When you've got all sorts of things going on in the field where you've got rapid growth like that, you've got to change the rates that you're using. You can't be cutting rates. You need more water for good coverage. And you really hope that the wind is down so you can get in there in a timely fashion, because products that we use are labeled due to the plant size, right?
Mm-hmm.
Up to V5 in corn or up to 24-inch tall corn. So once it's past that, you don't get to spray anymore. So we've got to be pretty timely in what we're doing.
Here's a question for you.
Sure.
When you get a label that says do not use on big corn, what happens if you spray something that's too tall? Why can't you just spray it whenever? Why is it within that growing range?
Because you get to a point in the growth stage where the corn is susceptible to more damage. So for instance, you're probably getting ready to continue to grow. Maybe it's starting to at the point where it's going to want to push a cob. If you're talking about wheat, you're getting to the flag leaf. It's pretty soon you're going to be looking at a head coming through, the seed head. And so it's all about its reproductive stage, and you don't want to spray it at a time where that could be injured. When corn from the center of the plant where all those leaves come out of, that's called the whorl. And oftentimes once it's of size, you don't want extra chemistry going down the whorl because that goes directly into the plant and that could negatively impact your yield.
And if I read that right, Bridgette, I believe our crops are going to be sprayed tomorrow, you said, correct?
It should be that either today, but I think for sure tomorrow. Jim is planning on being in the field. So my goal is to be out there, visit with him a little bit about what he's doing. Not only do we have a great looking field of soybeans, I think we have a healthy crop of water hemp and kochia that needs to be taken care of.
You see what we and Jim did there, right? We waited to spray our field for spray day Tuesday.
Goodness. No, please,
That's
no.
a very good
point.
That's a good point. Now,
that was twice as effective.
And Bridgette, you've been out there. Has there been any palmer out in the field or no?
I haven't seen Palmer amaranth in that field yet, and
Okay.
I'd like to not see Palmer.
Right.
For those of you who are curious what it might look like, it's in the pigweed family. The biggest distinguishing factor is if you pulled off a leaf and it's bract all the way back to the stem, and you fold it over that leaf bract, and it is the same length as your leaf. So it's got an extremely long leaf bract, and then the leaf, that would be an indication of Palmer, and it can be confirmed by your county agents and that type of thing.
Cool. And speaking of the Here We Grow, our field, and spraying and all the good stuff out there, we just released another video last Friday of the Here We Grow, and play a little teaser of what that episode is for all of you. If you want to take a look at it, it's on Facebook or YouTube. Just search Weather and Ag in Focus. All of our videos up to 8 are up there so far. But here's the preview from our last episode, and then Bridgette or Dean can kind of explain what it is that's ongoing.
Hey guys, it's Dean here. Look at this piece of equipment we got to play with.
Those two kegs over there have our different chemicals.
Wait, you said kegs? Oh,
No,
wait,
that's
wrong,
right.
wrong keg.
That's right,
Okay.
that's right.
Unbelievably awesome. Here We Grow. The new episode starts now.
So what was it you guys were doing? Because I didn't partake in this episode. A little busy doing other activities, but you guys went and did some fun stuff.
He was going over the process of how these beans go into this tumbler, and they are colored and
Seed treated.
Yep, seed treated, and they come out red. So
This isn't like the whole maraschino cherry how it's made episode, is it? Where they bleach them completely and then they just dye them red. Do you know what those maraschino
No.
cherries? They bleach them pure white and then dye them red.
I did not know that.
Now
That-
you know.
They need uniform coloration. So the reason that those soybeans are going into that tumbler, and when you think of tumbler, it's almost like a dryer that turns, which in fact, Dean and I talked about the possibility of just sticking them in it.
They tried
and
shoving me
tumbling
in
them.
it, yeah, and
Better
turning
than
it
a hot
on.
trunk on a hot weekend.
But what you're doing is you're putting a protective coating on those seeds so that something that can help in case they had to sit in cold, wet soils. If perhaps you had an insecticide in there to prevent anything, bugs from going after and eating your seeds. So there's a number of reasons why you could use seed treatments and inoculant, and also to give your plant a boost, like a little extra vitamin to get them up and out of the ground. Can't hurt, right?
So could you just kind of cake as whatever you want onto these seeds? Could you, what I'm going at is like the granddaddy starter seed, basically where you got a seed and it's just wrapped in fertilizer, pre-emergent, all these, you get like 5 or 6 different things, and it's just like the ultimate pre-start to the seed, nothing to worry about for a couple of weeks.
Oh, but my friend, timing is everything. And we don't want to have too much there, because if you had herbicide and this is a young plant, you don't want it to be in contact with that as of yet, because it could cause damage. There is such a thing as fertilizer burn. So you wouldn't necessarily want fertilizer on your seed for contact. So yeah, there's some variability as to what you would put on seed versus what you would not.
I see. Well, if you're listening, you want to join in our conversation, ask a question for any of us, feel free to do so. Pick up the phone, dial 701. Yeah, I made everyone think that something went wrong with their radio there for a second. 701-293-9000 is the Red Wing Shoes phone line if you want to pick that phone up and give us a call. As always, email weather or ag at flagfamily.com. We got some fun things coming up on the show today. A few topics that we're going to try to get to today is the dairy oversupply, a Mexico corn import update, and farmerhood for Ukraine. We always like talking about
That's
what's
right.
going on over there in Ukraine, and I heard there was something they weren't expecting to renew that Black Sea grain export deal, kind of like we were thinking they weren't going to do. I don't know if you've heard anything on that, Bridgette, have you?
I don't think that would, it was long and drawn out. No one's really sure how long that deal is going to be good for, because any dealings with Russia has been tenuous at best. And so we can try to look up some information. But yeah, that's currently where we're at right now, is that deal is sort of extended for right now. But there's so much going on over there. They had a dam break. This Farmerhood is trying to help get products that are needed to an actual farm, things like seed, fuel, and we're going to definitely want to talk about that.
All right, cool. And our guest that'll be joining us here in just a few moments, that's Allison Thompson from the Money Farm, and she'll be joining us next. And if you have any questions for Allison or ourselves, again, that phone number is 701-293-9000.
So Money Farm, is this like, so she's going to tell us how to plant a money tree and we can shake it and all be rich?
Well, you see, the trick is most people just throw the coins or the bills into the ground, bury it, water it, and wait for it to sprout. But there's actually a technique, and what you got to do is put all the coin into a little burlap sack, get it wet, throw it in the freezer for a couple days, thaw it out, and then plant it, because you got to crack the shell on the money. So
Gotcha.
That way, so there's a little trick, and Allison's going to teach us how to do that and so much more when we come back.
Hey everyone, John Adams here. I hope you'll join me on WDAY Radio for my new talk show, Talk of the Town with John Adams. Every Wednesday from 11 to noon, we'll talk about issues that affect us all in the Fargo-Moorhead community. We'll talk taxes, the diversion, places to go and things to do, and of course, Bison and Viking football. We'll talk about issues that affect everyone in this great community that we call home. That's Talk of the Town with John Adams, Wednesdays at 11 on WDAY Radio.
Well, just when you thought it couldn't get any better, Mike Lindell and MyPillow are launching the MyPillow 2.0. When Mike invented MyPillow, it had everything you could ever want in a pillow. Now, nearly 20 years later, he discovered a new technology that makes MyPillow even better, the MyPillow 2.0. It has the patented adjustable fill of the original MyPillow, and now with the brand new fabric that is made with a temperature-regulating thread. The MyPillow 2.0 is the softest, smoothest, and coolest pillow you'll ever own. And more great news on the MyPillow 2.0. It has a buy one, get one free offer with promo code WDAY. Just go to MyPillow.com and click on the radio podcast square to receive the MyPillow 2.0 buy one, get one free offer. Just when you thought MyPillow couldn't get any better, MyPillow 2.0 gives you the best pillow around. Enter promo code WDAY or call 800-875-0644 to get your MyPillow 2.0s now.
Hi, I'm Kevin Wolf, president of Laney's. Do you have your air conditioner serviced each year? Did you know that this service can pay for itself and also extend the life of your equipment? If not, you need to consider Laney's for all of your planned maintenance needs. Our technicians will ensure that your equipment is operating safely and efficiently. So for peace of mind, call us today at 237-0543 or visit us on the web at laneysinc.com.
828 is just great.
Join us on Tuesday at 10:06 a.m. when we bring you the Luther Family Ford Nonprofit of the Week on the Coffee Club. This is one of the most special things we do to honor and showcase our local nonprofits, because they are the lifeblood of keeping our communities safe, fed, housed, educated, and more. Join us at 10:06 a.m. every Tuesday when we bring you another Luther Family Ford Nonprofit of the Week on WDAY's The Coffee Club.
Roses are red, violets are blue. Nothing says I love you like a new pair of shoes.
Hi, Teresa here from the Fargo Red Wing Shoe Store. Whether or not the father in your life needs new footwear, why not buy him a gift certificate to Red Wing Shoes? No matter the size of his foot or the demand of his job, Red Wing shoes are strong, they're durable, they provide comfort and stability.
Just like our dad.
Stop in and see for yourself at 3003 Main Avenue in Fargo. Red Wing Shoes for ultimate durability.
Need a tow? There's just one name you need to know. Aggressive Towing and Recovery. Our team is on call 24/7. We can be on the scene of a breakdown, accident, or to your home in minutes. At Aggressive, we offer light, medium, and heavy-duty towing, roadside assistance, and equipment hauling, as well as emergency roadside assistance like winch outs, lockouts, jump starts, tire changes, and more. Call anytime, 218-287-2344, online at aggressivetow.com.
I finally got tired of tossing and turning all night. A bad mattress meant sore shoulders, back pain, and when mama doesn't sleep, look out.
You know it. We've heard those Comfort King ads. Best beds ever, made right here at the Fargo factory, and a lifetime comfort guarantee.
We went to check them out to see what the fuss was all about. Man, they are not lying. We chose a mattress we both liked.
They built it, delivered it, and took our old bed, no hassle.
Seriously, if you're not sleeping well, see the team at Comfort King. Comfort King Mattress Factory, the original mattress factory of the Dakotas. Sleep well, live well.
Pucklet Chevrolet Buick GMC in Valley City makes it easy to find your next Chevrolet Buick GMC or pre-owned vehicle by offering a great selection at our best prices possible.
Welcome to WDAY Weather and Ag in Focus. I'm Bridgette Readel, Ag Director, along with Chief Meteorologist Dean Wysocki and Meteorologist Justin Storm. So glad that Rice University is catching up with all the things that you guys do with the LRC. It was about time. You've been way ahead of the game, gentlemen. Nice.
It is, and Gary was very happy about it too, because it leads credence, because there's always people that just, no, this can't really be happening, and it is, and now that
it's there.
Now it's on the national global stage. So let's see if we can merge those two together with the climate experts. Although I hate to use the word climate experts. It's climate scientists. How's that?
Well, we'll give them a little bit of credit, but we're going to give a whole lot more credit to Peterson Farm Seed, one of our Here We Grow sponsors. Peterson is the largest regional seed company. They are a big part of what we are doing out in the field with our soybean seed, and we just want to thank them for all of their time, as well as letting us come out. One of our earlier Here We Grow videos that's online was done in their operation, and that was great to see. So here we go. We have a guest today, and that would be Allison Thompson. Allison is with The Money Farm. And as much as we just want to be able to see money grows on trees, Allison, I don't think that's what The Money Farm does. Can you help us out there?
No, not necessarily. No, I'm a grain market analyst. I work with a lot of farmers in the area, tri-state area, and actually further south and into the Corn Belt as well. I help them with some marketing advice and options that best fit their operation, given what markets are doing, and obviously how things are going on their farm, where their production is being raised.
Okay, you just said something very important. Markets and what they're affecting what we do. What is going on with the markets?
Mm-hmm.
Wasn't there just a USDA WDAY report, which sounds like a made-up name in the first place? So can you talk to us a little bit about what USDA released and that type of thing?
Yeah, obviously the USDA is a big part impacting our markets, have been for a long time. They come out monthly with some crop production, supply and demand reports that obviously affect our markets. It's the big fundamental data dump that we get once a month, and it's kind of look forward to in the marketplace because it is fresh data. Unfortunately, we did get a report last Friday, and it was kind of highly anticipated, but to be honest with you, it ended up being a real non-event. They didn't move numbers around too much in that report. They shifted demand a little bit, but it was widely expected in the report. They didn't change production. It's early in the growing season, not a huge surprise there either. And obviously the big thing affecting our markets right now is weather. So it seemed like the report came out and honestly, markets didn't even move when the report came out. And usually we can see some kind of a swing on the initial numbers being released, but we didn't even get that. So we had to relook at markets, make sure they were still open after the report was released, and they were. But they just were so focused on weather forecasts going into the weekend that it really trumped the report anyway. So we saw them kind of trade similar into the close. And then, of course, last night opened big. Today we had a green screen on a Monday, which is always a good day in my field. So phones were quiet, guys are happy, so that's always a good thing. So obviously some weather concerns are popping up, not only up here, we do have some dry areas as well, but obviously the concern is now the Corn Belt. They've had spotty showers at best, kind of like what we've been seeing pop up around here. So it's really hit and miss. And the concern is obviously if that's going to continue. So every 12 hours, we're bombarded with the new forecast outlook, and that's obviously dictating our direction, more or less at this point in time. We're seeing the weather market obviously hit this thing a little bit earlier than normal. Normally, we don't see this happen till usually July or into August, but this year, given the dry soil conditions, across a lot of the big production areas, it's obviously concerning for crop development this early as well to get the crop established.
Right. I got a one here for you, and Bridgette, I saw you were about to jump in there as well. Before we go on with the weather, back to this report that came out that was highly anticipated, and when these reports are coming out, why are they so highly anticipated? What is in these reports that's so beneficial for people to know about, and why does that information swing the markets?
Well, to be honest with you, the USDA is the real one that we watch, not only here in the US, but globally as well, as far as giving us data that's somewhat up to date. It's a lot of debate on whether it's actually timely and really accurate, but it is the only big reporting system that we have across the globe that not only updates our production here, but also global production as well. Obviously, production, demand, all of that gets updated in that report. So it is very, very anticipated every month. It's the fresh data that we receive. There are other countries, other agencies that obviously put out reports as well, but they're not as highly regarded as the USDA is. So it is just a big report in that we get fresh data once a month.
And Allison, do you know who the USDA? I mean, did they have their own staff of meteorologists? Did they use a private forecasting firm? Do you know? And I've got a follow up after that, and I think you guys know where I'm going with it. So,
Yeah, they use a lot of different data. They state what they use: historical reporting, crop conditions reports, vegetative maps, farmer surveys. Those are the things that usually get reported on. So whether they actually use someone private, I don't believe that they do at this point. I think some people for the last couple of years, given the conditions that we've had, kind of wish they did. But it is what it is. They really kind of look back at their historical numbers and base their findings and estimates off of those.
And where I was going with that is, and if you're not familiar with it, and we were talking about this a little bit at the top of the show, is that climate experts or climate scientists right now have discovered that the North and South Pole, that the weather it actually cycles in cycle length patterns. And we've got a meteorologist that we work with. He's from Kansas City. He has his own model that he has designed, and it's called the LRC, Lezak Recurring Cycle. And I don't know if you're familiar with it, but the LRC can predict weather patterns. They cycle different lengths each year. I think this year is a 50-day cycle, if I'm not mistaken. And so he can predict pretty accurately, 80% accuracy, when these dry streaks are going to be, when the wetter patterns are going to be for not only the U.S., but anywhere around the globe. And I was wondering if it'd be something else if the USDA could kind of latch onto that, because that would really help in terms of the markets, I would think. I mean, you could kind of farmers could kind of get a good idea. Hey, are we going to be in drought, or are we going to get out of this drought? When are the wet periods going to be, and such?
Yeah, either that or they got to talk to me so I know what's going on.
There you go.
Let's be honest. I think we're all looking for a better answer. So,
right.
Yeah, USDA is definitely one. It'd be good if they could follow something, but they're really slow on making adjustments too early without the proof. So even regardless if there was a beneficial forecast, like we even saw Friday, we knew it was going to be turning a bit drier, but they're always a little bit slow until they actually see the proof in the crop.
Right.
So,
now, you said July and August is you're usually not this busy. Did I hear that correctly? This early in the season? When is your busiest time?
Well, I guess I was referring to a weather market affecting the crops.
Right.
Usually we see during July and August, which is really the heart of the production stages for corn and soybeans, that we see a weather market pop up. So to see weather forecasts be this impactful this early, it's definitely something different. So it has made me a little bit busier, a little more cautious of what's going on this early when we're seeing volatility like we are in the market just because of weather forecasts.
Mm-hmm. All interesting stuff.
Right.
Well, hey, we're at bottom of the hour. We're going to take a short moment here to get some questions lined up from our emails as well as phone lines. If you want to call in, 701-293-9000 is the Red Wing Shoes phone line. And we'll take your calls live on the radio. And as always, like I had mentioned, you can email your questions over. A few have utilized that feature so far at weather or ag@flagfamily.com. Pick up those phones. We'll be right back here in just a few moments.
Janae from the Coffee Club here to let you know the Hot Works Fitness Center is opening soon in Moorhead on Highway 10 East. A unique style of infrared fitness, great for not only weight loss, but improved circulation, muscle recovery, reducing inflammation, stress reduction, and detoxification. If you become a VIP member right now, it's only $10 to enroll and $44 a month. So save $15 a month and become a founding member of the Hot Works Fitness Center in Moorhead. Find Hot Works Moorhead on Facebook.
You go with what works, you trust your experience, and make decisions based on proven results. That is why ag producers like you have chosen Dakota Bank for over half a century and made us one of the largest ag lenders in the nation. Hi, I'm Chad Prewy, ag banker with Dakota Bank in Fargo. No matter the challenges, we are here to help you navigate the highs and lows to grow your business by financing your operating needs, improve your land, or purchase equipment. We all rely on you, and we're just happy to return the favor. Go with allies, go with trust, go with Dakota Bank. Equal housing lender, member FDIC, trust and insurance are not FDIC insured.
Maximize your corn and soybean crops with Aphiance fungicide. This highly systemic fungicide delivers unbeatable protection against disease like northern corn leaf blight, frog-eyed leaf spot, and more. Penetrating the plant's tissue, Aphiance provides total plant protection, including new growth. For corn and soybean growers who want quality disease protection and maximize yields, the choice is Aphiance fungicide. Ask your local ag retailer about Aphiance fungicide today. Always read and follow label directions from Gowan, USA.
More than 80 million Americans depend on AM radio for their news, weather, sports, and a community connection. It's the backbone of the emergency alert system. It's critical that we keep AM radio in cars because when cell and internet services are down, this free emergency service could be your only lifeline. Text AM to 52886 and tell Congress we need AM radio in cars.
Message and data rates may apply. You may receive up to 4 messages a month, and you may text STOP to stop.
This message furnished by the National Association of Broadcasters.
Truck Talk is live at O'Kelly's Bar and Grill each Monday evening. Remember, happy hours 3 p.m. to 6 p.m. with $1 off wells and tall taps plus half-price apps. And right now, you can get Busch Light Pounders for just $5 each. So come to O'Kelly's for delicious apps like bruschetta, street tacos, wings, stuffed mushrooms, shrimp skewers, or bacon Brussels sprouts half-price weekdays 3 p.m. to 6 p.m. Come for the apps and drink specials 3 p.m. to 6 p.m. and stay for Track Talk Live at O'Kelly's each Monday. I-29 in Maine and Fargo.
If you have unfiled taxes or are in debt to the IRS, this is important news. The IRS just rolled out a new program to help struggling taxpayers more easily resolve their tax problems. It's called the Taxpayer Relief Initiative, and it opens up powerful new options for people looking to get back on the right track with the IRS. And no one knows this program like the professionals at Optima Tax Relief, America's most trusted tax resolution company. They've resolved over $1 billion in tax debt for their clients and have the expertise and experience to help you. One easy call to Optima can start the process, helping to put an end to your worries of wage garnishment, asset seizure, and other aggressive IRS actions. Make today the beginning of your fresh start with the IRS. Call the experts at Optima Tax Relief now for your free confidential consultation.
Call 800-343-6460. 800-343-6460. 800-343-6460.
Optima Tax Relief.
Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
Uh-oh, Brad's buzzed.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, he's starting with the woots. And now a speech.
I just want to say that friendship is about heart and brain. Who's with me?
Good thing is, he knows when he's buzzed.
And my brain is saying, when it's time to go home, somebody call me a ride.
Love that guy.
Me too.
Know your buzzed warning signs? Call for a ride when it's time to go home. Buzz driving is drunk driving. A message from NHTSA and the Ad Council.
Let the Goose River Bank become your community bank. They believe a strong bank builds strong communities and would be proud to be your bank.
Welcome back to WDAY, Weather and Ag in Focus. I'm Bridgette, Readel, Ag Director with the Weather Wizards. Justin
I like that.
Storm.
I like that.
And Chief Dean Wysocki.
Dean,
I can't wait
we're
to
wizards
see your
now.
You get new pointy hats.
Wizard hats. I like
that.
I like it. All right. The other wizards we have, are one of our Here We Grow sponsors, and that would be Ellingson Drainage, because they are wizards when it comes to moving water, getting it in places where it should be from where it's not. And I can't wait until we get to do our sponsor video with them, because I'm so hoping that we've got enough water flowing that some of the pumps are running, and I'm planning on putting Dean under a pump with a rubber ducky, just like a shower.
I'm going to bring him one of those tiny little flimsy umbrellas too.
I like where this is headed.
Any little umbrella has to be accompanied by a margarita. That's the only little umbrella that's allowed.
We can arrange that.
Okay.
Suddenly there's rules. We are here with our guest, Allison Thompson. Allison is with the Money Farm, and we have been talking about markets, how that affects us, etc. So one question I have for you, Allison, is that this argument I've heard many times. Well, North Dakota does grow corn and soybeans, but we're not an I state. So with potential drought in several I states, do we really affect the market if we're doing better, or how badly will they affect our market?
Yeah, exactly. I know it's disappointing every year, especially when we have some kind of production issues. It seems like we don't even matter up here, and then when it's down there, it's a big market thing. I know it's very frustrating, but it honestly comes down to acres and production. Obviously, the I states and through the Corn Belt, they can obviously they produce a lot more acres, and they can produce a lot more bushels than we can. So we are kind of considered a fringe area because we do have acres here, but we don't have the same yield that they have there. So obviously when they have production issues like this, we become a little bit more in focus because it needs to be offset somewhere. And the hope is that it can be offset here. But the thing though is, again, we don't have those same yields. We obviously have a little bit of a yield drag up here, and it's not our fault. It's just the way it is up here. We aren't going to be producing 200 plus bushel corn across the state of North Dakota and northern Minnesota. So with that, the yield is going to be dragged down nationally for both corn and soybeans if they have a production issue. So we should see in future reports the USDA lower the yield estimate on the national level because not only are they seeing some yield drag, but also up here, we're not going to be able to offset it completely. So it should be a benefit. The hard part is that when it's usually flip-flopped, they seem to be doing all right, and they don't have near the yield drag. Even last year, there were some areas that obviously got hard hit, but 20 bushel per acre yield drag for them for corn is huge. If you were to talk to them, even my counterpart in Iowa would say, oh my gosh, 20 bushels an acre loss this year. It's pretty huge. But to be honest with you, when it comes down to it, they're still close to that 200 bushel corn mark. So it really doesn't affect the national yield probably as much as you'd think. But it obviously hurts us when you're looking at it price-wise.
And Allison, got a question. So what would affect our markets more? The weather down in South America, I know that affects our soybeans and what the weather is like in South America. So would that affect our markets more? Would our weather or the Central Plain, like drought conditions in the U.S., would that affect the markets more? Or let's turn it overseas, what's happening in Ukraine and the grain shipments out there. Out of those three, which one has the most impact on our markets?
Well, when you talk about weather here versus South America, their growing season's a little bit different time frame than us. So their weather season was this winter. That's kind of why we saw corn and soybeans be dragged down earlier this winter, was because they were looking at some record production in Brazil, offsetting losses in Argentina. And that was before we could even get into our weather market. So right now they're combining corn down there. Their soybean harvest is done. So we're kind of opposites there. So we see kind of it affected at a different time. So they're obviously very important. We're still kind of, I think, holding back on some prices here for corn and soybeans because they did have such good production in Brazil this year. And with it being such a good crop, they're offering low prices to try and get it moving. And it's just hurt our export market. So that's kind of keeping a top on our markets at the moment. But again, we see a production issue here. It'll definitely kind of trump that, and we'll see some issues because ending stocks are tight. Globally, there too, same thing with weather can obviously be said, depends on when the growing season is. But you're right, the Black Sea thing definitely has been a big topic here over the last year. And it doesn't sound like that agreement's going very well. I know Russia's not happy with the terms of it, and there are demands not being met. And I know they met over this weekend without any progress being made. So they are threatening to cancel the deal here going forward. It should go into July, but I don't know if it's going to get pushed beyond that. But we've heard this story before. I think the market's getting sick of the boy who cried wolf on the wheat markets, to be honest with you. We've been down that road. We believed the words before, and we've gotten fooled. So I think the market's going to be patient on buying any of those rumors until they actually see it. Yeah, we saw their dam break. Yes, we've seen some other issues happen, but until it actually stops their exports, I think the market's going to remain firm here until we actually see something happen and they actually stop flowing out of that country.
Okay, so when you say affects their exports, because are they still exporting last year's crop for the most part, or prior year crop?
But yeah, depending on the crop, yes. And they're working on their new crop. They're actually harvesting their wheat right now, which is kind of interesting. When they renewed the deal, they did that so they could export some of their new crop wheat. So after their harvest is done is about when this deal will expire. So we'll have to see how it all pans out in the end. But yeah, I think the hope is to get it all moved here relatively soon after harvest, their new crop as well.
So I look at one more question for me, and that is as we progress through our Here We Grow project, raising our 20 acres of soybeans with our profits going to the Great Plains Food Bank. Okay, we're new. We're sort of inexperienced at this deal. Should we be contracting our beans? Is it too late to contract our beans, or should we just be selling off the combine for a cash price? Any thoughts to that, Alice, and how you might advise us?
That is the $1 million question, isn't it? I think everybody's a little concerned. We've seen prices fall back, I think, a lot more than we were expecting here this winter. And yes, weather is favorable, but what do you do? It depends what your operation's like. Guys with good-looking stands right now, they're optimistic. Doing a little bit more here maybe wouldn't be a bad idea. I mean, technically, from my recommendations, we do have some sold for new crop already, right around that 20%. Doing more than that ahead of the growing season is always a risk. But on the other side of it, we have the board, right? We can always do some hedging if you're concerned about it. Given the rally we've gotten, it's not a bad time to look at some hedges, to at least be buying some puts, probably less risk obviously involved in that, because you're not exposed to margin like you would if you were on the board. And obviously doesn't hold you to a contract like it would on the cash side if you were to contract with an elevator. So there are some different ways to protect it without having a lot of risk. And in a market like this, it's obviously volatile and very dependent on what a weather forecast does. It doesn't hurt to have some protection in place. And that goes for all three grains, corn, soybeans, and wheat at this point in the growing season.
Thank you, guys. I am so glad we have people like Allison who can do this, because this was the part in my economics classes where I might have dozed off and been like, what? Explain this to me later. I have no clue half the time how I'm supposed to do any of that stuff. So God bless Allison for doing it. Sorry, Justin.
Well, and I know, and I kind of rushed down through that pretty quick. And obviously there's a lot of different moving parts and there's a lot of things that we're watching all the time. But if anyone has questions on how those markets or contracts or any of that works, I'd be more than happy to explain it to you. It's part of what I do every day, but I know it's not something everybody does. And in markets like this, prices we knew weren't going to remain high forever. There's going to be volatility. So it's important to whip those tools back out again too.
Right. And speaking of that, Allison, how could someone get in contact with you or the Money Farm, figure out a little bit more about the markets and maybe something, decisions they want to make on their operation or their field?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm actually located in Ada, Minnesota. I'm on Highway 9 going north out of town. I'm in the Petrie Insurance Building, so I'm always happy to have someone come in and we can talk through your individual situation. Otherwise, you can always give me a call. My office number is 701-347-5985. Happy to talk markets any day. Obviously, days like today are a lot more easier to talk about, but obviously happy to talk anytime. Otherwise, they can always send me an email at allison@themoneyfarm.com.
Awesome. Well, appreciate it, Allison. Thanks for jumping on with us here for a little bit, talking a little bit more about what it is you do and over at the Money Farm. We're going to take a quick look at the American Ag Network when we come back. Got another check at that forecast, a couple more ag topics, and as well any questions that you may have.
It's about tradition, values, and family ties. Pucklet Chevrolet GMC's tradition of giving back to our community remains a priority, and that's why we've partnered with many local nonprofit organizations and events. And our tradition of giving this community a fair and honest offer continues. Right now, you can save over $6,000 on select new Chevy Silverado 1500s. We're Pucklet Chevrolet GMC in Valley City. Tradition, values, and family ties.
See dealer for details.
It's a family summer bash, Wednesday, June 14th at Olivet Lutheran Church in Fargo. The events start at 5 with dinner served by our youth featuring pulled pork sandwiches and all the sides. We'll worship at 6 with our Celebrate Band, followed by a kids' color run, service projects, lawn games, and a concert by the band Island Time. If you've never been to Olivet Lutheran Church and are looking for a church home, this is a great way to learn about us. Bring your family and friends for our summer bash, Wednesday, June 14th at Olivet Lutheran Church on the corner of 13th Avenue and South University Drive, Fargo.
Attention electricians, Northern Valley Electrical Service, Inc. is looking for trained electricians to join their team at the All True Hospital build in Grand Forks. They offer great pay and incentives. Working hours up to 10 hours per day, Monday through Saturday, but not mandatory. North Dakota license and union membership is not required. Free transit to and from job site is available as well if coming from Fargo. Join the Northern Valley Electrical Service team today. Call Danny at 701-741-0723.
Welton's Tire reminds you, if you have children living on or visiting your farm, designate a play area to separate the farm's safe play area from its working areas. Farm buildings, equipment, and fields may look more like playgrounds than work sites, but it's important to teach safe farm practices. Senseless injuries don't have to be a part of the cost of farming. Welton's Tire in Lisbon is your one-stop for auto service, tires, and on-farm service. Welton's Tire online at weltonstire.net.
Corn continues to lead the grains on Monday. This is the American Ag Network. of Jesse Allen with this market update. We're talking now with Arlen Suderman of Stone X. Arlen, it appears those weekend rains were a bit disappointing for some folks, and that seems to be giving us strength here in this corn market on the day Monday. What's your take and what you're seeing here in the grains so far?
That's what's giving the corn strength. That's what's giving new crop soybean strength as well. Disappointing rain totals. The change in the pattern happened on cue as we've been expecting for the last 3 to 4 weeks. It happened almost exactly on the day that we've been saying it would happen. It happened. The cooler temperatures have come in as we expected to happen. The rains fell in the areas where we expected them to fall pretty much as we got into last week. And they were short where we expected them to be short. But overall rainfall totals probably came in below where a lot of people expected and hoped. That's part of breaking a drought. When the atmosphere is very dry, you have to re-wet the atmosphere, so to speak, put the humidity back into the air for those summertime thunderstorms, and that takes kind of repeated systems, and that's what's really on the agenda now. The question is going to be, is it too little too late, or is there still going to be some lost yield potential? And that debate's going to continue for quite some time before we finally solve it. But for today, it did push corn higher. We tripped some buy signals then when we went above the previous highs. Momentum trading algos jumped in, added enough strength to give us double-digit gains. And that's really the story of today's market to this point.
And thank you very much. That is Arlen Suderman, Chief Commodities Economist at Stone X, joining us for our midday commentary. Over in the protein sector, hogs remain sharply higher in the deferred contracts, with cattle futures mixed, live cattle showing a little bit of strength. Crude oil down $2.30 a barrel, 67.87. This is the American Ag Network. I'm Jesse Allen reporting.
And welcome back to Weather and Ag in Focus. Thanks for rejoining us. It's 1:50 on this beautiful Monday afternoon. Temperatures are reaching into the lower and mid-80s right now, and wind a little breezy, but not too bad. I'm generally around 10 to 15, gusting a little higher than that at times. We'll take a look at that forecast coming up here in just a moment. As always, You got questions for us, topics you want us to dive into, kind of pick our brains, we'll pick yours. 701-293-9000 is the Red Wing Shoes phone line. You can always reach us, email as well, weather or ag at flagfamily.com. We got a few ag topics that we're going to try and get to today. And since we were kind of talking about Ukraine, Bridgette, with Allison, why don't we touch a little bit more on Ukraine? And this is Farmhood for Ukraine. Tell me all about this because it sounds like a cool thing.
Okay, so Farmhood is actually a global charitable organization. And what they are trying to do is to provide supplies to Ukrainian farmers. And along the lines, this is from major, large global corporations. And I mean, they're trying to provide seed, crop protection herbicides, fuel for field operations, as well as repair facilities and machinery. So they're actually just trying to get the farm going again, because that area feeds quite a region of the world, as well as their own people. And if you are a Ukrainian farmer with up to 1,200 acres, or also known as 500 hectares, you can, and if you're in an impacted region from the war, you could apply for assistance through Farmerhood, again, a global charitable collective that's working to help local farmers in Ukraine.
That's super cool. It's cool to see they're doing that. You would use a term there, hectares.
Yes, hectares.
Is 1 hectare the size of the airport out here, or what categorizes a hectare?
Oh boy!
Oh come on, that was good. That was right off the top of my head.
That's still not saying much.
Close.
Well, tell me what that is. A lot of people probably haven't heard the term hectare before. We've heard of acres, miles.
Right, which is what we use to measure size of land here in the U.S. But when we get into other countries, even our Canadian counterparts, and certainly in Europe, they use a measurement that's a hectare. And I'm sure right now you're both very busy Googling how many hectares per acre and vice versa, et cetera. Because off the top of my head, I'd have to go look. I haven't had to do that since I was working with research scientists and having to translate rates back and forth. But the reality is that's really what the majority of the world uses to measure their land mass is hectares.
Look at that. We got quite a few hectares up there at is it hectare? Does it matter?
2.4 acres.
Hectare.
Yeah, we got
2.4 acres.
Just shy of 8.1 for our Here We Grow project. There we go. Look at that. We're farming internationally now.
Well, you never know where those beans might go, and they could wind up international.
Yeah, we have to do that whole thing too in weather when it comes to forecasting and research. Everything needs to be standardized to the same units, and of course, everyone except the United States and is it Australia? I don't know. There's 1 or 2 other countries that use the imperial system, so we have to convert all of our information into metrics, Celsius and knots and statute miles.
We might be the only country left.
There's another one. Well, there's another country out there. There's at least 2.
I know Australia uses metric. They're metric.
Well, let's just use the old Google.
Along those lines, I have a little trivia item for the two of you.
Can't wait.
And that is, we're so quickly approaching June 16th. 1984, a flash flood carried 64 cars a quarter mile, which is actually 402 meters. Do you remember what state
Colorado.
that flash flood took place?
Colorado.
Thompson Canyon flood. No.
Nope.
Whoa.
No, this was 1984, closer to us.
1984. This was the old Mississippi down in, that state it runs through.
No, this was over in Wisconsin.
Ascani's in it?
Yeah, it was West by Wisconsin. 64 cars moved a quarter mile.
Wow.
That's a lot of traffic. I mean, if you think about it, that's a lot of water volume.
Wow.
Now, maybe.
That's what I call
maybe
it.
they were all, in 1984, maybe they were all like those little tiny Datsun pickups or,
good point.
little Hyundai hatchbacks. It's hard to say, but they might have been tiny cars.
Hey, I found out the other there's 3 nations that use the imperial, and it's the United States, Liberia, and Myanmar.
Well, look at us, Myanmar.
Yeah, Myanmar.
We're a big deal. That's how we roll. It's a good thing.
Yep. Yeah.
Now, okay, so one more thing as far as how we roll. June is dairy month, and there's some things going on in the dairy industry right now. all-time lows are happening when it comes to milk prices. So that's the price that you, if you're a dairy farmer, are being paid for your milk, because it's kind of a sluggish time. Schools are not actively in session, so there's a decrease in the amount of milk. There's still a heavy amount of milk used in cheese and butter, but not enough to make the difference. And so what's happening, you also have some facilities, by the way, that are having labor shortages, so they are not able to process as regularly scheduled as they might normally. So what's happening? Dairy farms are actually having to dump some milk. This is not a global conspiracy. It is just a fact of life that it happens from time to time where you have to dump milk, and that is going on in Minnesota and Wisconsin. There's also some fluid milk that's kind of creeping in from other parts of the region that is also helping to defray or decrease that cost.
So if there's an oversupply, why have prices not come down in? I mean, they have a little bit, but nothing,
they have some.
Nothing noticeable.
Not at this point. And it's potential that we may see a decrease like in cheese because there's such a cheap price to buy the fluid milk to go into cheese production. So for those of you planning on grilling your cheeseburgers over the 4th of July, maybe your cheese will be less costly. But so far that milk price in the jug has managed to stay about the same. So yes. And it's a lot. Like when you're talking about a creamery in Minnesota that processes 150,000 pounds of raw milk each day, that's a lot of milk. Wow. And they're currently not able to process due to labor, but also there was a concern with their wastewater permit that they have to work through. And it's going to take 30 days to get that back up and operational. So things that happen.
Should we play a little game? We just got the new report from the National Weather Service. Guess the temperature.
Where I'm at or you're at?
Where we're at. Wait, you're telling me everywhere is not the same temperature?
And I can't tell you where I am because the FBI said I can't reveal that yet.
Well, you should. You should not be facing that sign that points where you're going.
That's right. Kind of like with the big sign they always had in MASH. Okay, so I'm going to guess in Fargo Moorhead, where you're at right now, it is 81 balmy degrees.
Close. Hey, you are close. It is 83 balmy degrees.
No.
No. I've got 28 degrees Celsius. Sorry, Canada.
I've got 80. I've got 80 degrees at the Endon site.
Yeah, well, the Endon and the Hector are never matching.
They're always off.
Consistently, always off.
How far apart are they?
3 to sometimes 5 degrees difference.
No. I meant distance. Like, are they on the same?
So
where is it physically?
The Endon site for Fargo is in I believe it's a northwest part of town, if I'm not mistaken.
I think so too.
Yeah. So is
not
it on
far
NDSU's property?
It's
I bet it's on NDSU's property. So we probably drive right by it on our way to our field along County Road 20.
Yeah, but Justin and I were talking about that, and we're going to do some research on this. Why the big difference? I'm sorry, 3, 4, 5 degrees. That's a big difference.
There's something wrong.
Yeah, between I trust the Endon sites because there's quite a few of them, and I know Daryl has those calibrated, if I'm not mistaken, quite often. So I would trust that more, but I don't know. I don't know. So we're
Hector has just consistently been like 3 to 6 degrees every day, hotter than any other station around it.
And you know what days?
Well, hold on.
Yeah.
Lord.
You know what days it's the warmest out at the airport? Where the biggest difference? I'll give you a guess. The biggest difference in temperatures between Endon and the airport. What days do you think is the biggest?
I'm gonna go Wednesday.
It's actually Tuesday. You want to take a guess why it would be Tuesdays?
Why is that?
You know what Tuesday is.
I do.
Guys.
Yes?
Guys, hello. Over here.
Oh.
Isn't it possible that because Hector has so much asphalt and blacktop, they retain the heat more than what's going on if Endon is over by NDSU's field sites?
You see, that's a great hypothesis and a great thing. We're so far out of time right now. The answer is they're designed not to, and I will explain that tomorrow, but we got to get out of here. Jay Thomas Show's next.
AM 970 and FM 90.